Mic 1, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mic 2, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mic 3, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Soothing voice. Do you know whose brush this is?
Probably Christina Barreras. She was just here.
Oh, yeah.
Just leave her.
But from here, how can you really tell that it's like loud or not? Like it sounds fine, but
You would be able to tell. I mean, if it's, that's why it's good to go get some headphones, and someone should be monitoring during the show. And people comment. They will say if it's not perfect, they are going to tell you.
Okay. Where do you see those like?
Okay, so what I do during the show is I listen in, put headphones in, listen in on this page. Yeah. I like to watch two things. It tells you here, if you go here, it will tell you how many people are watching, like peak concurrent, and then here will tell you how many people are on the page, right?
Okay.
Now, go to create another tab.
Just gonna add another color here.
No, we gotta do that as well. Actually, so open up your email. Email.trivia.com. Or actually, is it tripub.com now? Oh yeah. Sign into your email, and then the you need to send the page link. So this one, you need to copy that and send it to Adam. And just link that to Zoom.
Link to.
Excellent. Yep. And that's all he needs. Alright, now create another tab and go to sunsentinel.com/xomarlive.
Oh, so that Dan that we shot yesterday, I figure I'll be able to edit it tomorrow. You want me to just post it as soon as Okay.
So this is where people are going to comment. These are comments from last week. It'll start. FYI, if you go to the YouTube page, every once in a while someone comments in here. If people start commenting in here, then the comment button will come up. I say, hey guys, please go to sunsentinel.com/xomarlive to participate in our chat and see the video. Redirect them off of the YouTube page onto.
Can you say like, hey guys, Omar doesn't see these, but he does see them over at this.
Yes,
Be that
you could say
straightforward?
that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can be straightforward. Omar won't see comments here, so please go to sunsentinel.com/xomarlive. So that's what it is. So if you, what are she gonna do during the show? Are you gonna have George on camera, or are you gonna have her on camera?
I didn't know that she was gonna monitor here, so I was gonna have her give time. But if she's monitoring there, then
I
George
can
can
ask
do it.
Adam to monitor, or
Cindy can do it, because then she can see how the edits go and stuff. Does George mind keeping time?
I don't think so. We just gotta ask him if he's free.
We can kind of like it.
Yeah, let him do it.
Yeah.
He's out the door, so
Yeah.
let George have as much fun as possible.
Yeah. Alright, I'll go ask George.
By monitoring.
He might be busy because I made him do enterprise meeting today,
Oh,
so
okay.
let me know. By monitoring is you're just
That was in a special training.
especially draining.
First 15 about big towns.
was kind of. I like that. That must have been the first.
Congratulations, man.
Hey, thank you very much.
Kids
Appreciate
are-
it.
I need to turn this on.
Yeah,
How do I-
getting bigger.
Click it again, I think, to make it go a little more powerful.
Still hoping to get him home for Christmas. We'll see.
Oh, that'd be nice.
That would be great.
Okay. So
Take
you're
your
gonna
photo.
take.
Well, here's what I can do with the meme kind of thing.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's do all right. So let's do that.
That looks all professional. Good morning.
Good morning.
I did my makeup at home, so
You did.
So you don't have to do it on the behind the scenes.
All right, here we go. Ready? Good. All right.
Does
Then
he
I'm
know?
gonna give it to you.
He was eating
Okay.
a steak sandwich.
And you're gonna email it to me, or are you gonna send it to me by phone?
I can send it to you by phone. I think.
Okay,
you know?
that's fine. 954. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Hold on, but we're. Oh,
Hello, you 19 people. Thanks for tuning in early.
Wait, did you even give the number to Ralph?
No, wait, hold on.
I'll write it down, so it'll be. I apologize that your team's a shitty team. What do you want me to do about it? Like, the biggest issue I have with Dolphin fans is that they want better results, but they don't want to exchange. Don't want to like improve their expectation level. They're just like, oh, well, Dan Campbell, he's a nice man. He should be our head coach. Like, okay, is he a good coach? No, but he's a nice man. Yeah, that's really going to get you to the playoffs. Is he ready to be a head coach? No, but he's a really nice man. Don't you love those speeches?
I'll tell you what, he's not as nice as Joe Philbin.
He's more exciting.
You said nice was the word that you were
Yeah,
using.
yeah, he's really. I mean, he's really a nice man.
Fucking do that himself. What does he care? He's a short time.
What's this?
I don't know what he's doing, man.
All right.
Omar.
Yes.
That way. Okay?
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Sun Sentinel's facing out.
Might have to focus up.
Check the exposure.
Did you send?
Oh yeah, you should.
Okay.
Your camera making that noise?
I don't know. Boom, there, I just got it.
How am I doing?
Yeah. That is it.
I did it.
No, you can see the shirt on.
All right.
Oh, the
Oh, you
very
mean the
last.
crop? I talked about the.
I can't see the
Why can't I copy it? Well, oh, there it is. Save image. Boom. Okay, Sarah.
No, this one says it's under.
What says it's under? Huh? I'm confused.
Looks good, bro.
It's good? Exposure's good?
I can't see exposure because I have this thing over it, but.
Oh, it's right in the middle.
Oh, yeah, it looks good.
Mine looks good. Looks good here, Tyler? Both cameras? About
See
the
how
same?
you're way.
Yeah, George's
see how
looks
it's way
better.
under?
Way under.
You see how that little dot,
Oh,
that
yeah?
little line?
So you want iris, manual.
No, George, your iris looks good.
Look at this? Because it's way to the left. That's okay? Then I
Yeah.
should put mine way to the left then. right?
You can turn yours down a little bit, yeah.
I'm gonna tag you. You're so hard to find.
Like that?
I know.
You and your number 2.
Some jerk stole.
I know.
Or you can blame my
There
parents
you go.
for
Naming
boring
you the
name.
common. Yeah, like, how do you choose number 2? Like, what makes you think that you're number 2? You're like.
It seemed the next best after one.
Yeah, like Matt Lincoln number 2. Why is my Wi-Fi not working in this building? That's a huge problem.
Okay, phone's
Are you on trip guest?
ready.
Oh, I'm not ready. I'm supposed to be on Trip Guest. What the heck happened here?
You should be on trip pub.
No, oh no. I was on Trip Pub, but now I just clicked on.
Yeah, because it'll put you on trip guest, and then that's when you get problems.
Okay, Trip Guest just went. Oh no. Trip Guest just rejected me.
Right. You're better
Okay.
off doing trip pub.
Trip Pub, come on, baby.
Well, you're registering. That's.
Yeah, no. I close it. It's for 2 years. It's worked properly. Oh, there it is. Bam, we're back.
All right.
Hold on.
Hang with us if you're watching us right now and you are sending us questions on Twitter using #XOmar or right here in the chat room, and we don't get to your question, we will answer it, if it's a good one, after the show's over.
We have, if you want to put them in the comment section or you want to put them on whatever, or you want to put them in the chat, we will get to them there. We'll get to them both ways. Hold on. I'm launching. X's
And as he's
Omar
finishing up,
now.
just a little preview of the show, we are going to break down Omar's list of potential Dolphins coaches. It is lengthy.
That's only 12. I narrowed it down because I really got 15.
You really have 15.
I really have 15. I mean, come on.
If they do hire one of the 3 that didn't make that cut, are you gonna take credit for it?
No.
Okay.
I take credit for nothing. I expect none of these 12 to be considered just because I mentioned them. Maybe Sean Payton.
Just because you mentioned them?
Yep. Even though I have had a good run of Dolphins doing things that I say do this year. It's probably the best year ever. But that's because me and Dan Campbell, we've got like-minded mentalities.
What's
Yeah.
that? I'm good. Yeah, good. I'm good.
All right, we ready to rock?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me open this just in case I needed some detail in here. The Sun Sentinel, an actual newspaper. You know, it's not just that thing that you find on the web. It's actually a newspaper and a lot of things that actually run in the newspaper.
I saw your face on the front of it.
Yeah. Oh, we ready? Hold on, sound off phone. Would hate for my mom to call me while I'm doing a show.
Well, turning the volume is not going to keep her from calling you.
That's true. Very good point. You know, it'll be amazed how many calls you get when you're sitting here doing the show.
Ready whenever you guys are.
Yeah. And welcome to another edition of X's and Omar alongside Sun Sentinel Dolphins columnist Omar Kelly. I'm CBS 12 Sports Director Matt Lincoln. Hey, a win! Woo! How exciting was that? 15-13, just the kind of win that Dan Campbell likes. One offensive touchdown.
I think he didn't like the 86 passing yards, but you know the reality is, even though the Dolphins did beat a pretty decent Baltimore Ravens team that's injury decimated, any chance you get to put together a win, especially doing it at home for the fans that are paying customers, you got to be excited about it.
Sure.
I wasn't that excited about it from this standpoint. Just being real, at some point in this organization, you got to bottom out. And I thought this was the year, but it looks like we're headed to another 7-9 season and another number 12 draft pick.
Well, I thought the defense came up with some big stops there at the end. Hey, congratulations. I told you about Matt Schaub. We talked about Matt Schaub last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Matt Schaub has a dead arm. He's going to throw dead balls.
Right, and for the, of course, right after a firing, we see Lamar Miller again. And hey, there he is. And
20 touches for the first, 20 carries for the first time all season, 20 touches for the second time in this season.
And look, it was very productive,
it ends in a
113
result.
yards.
How many times have I been promising you that Lamar Miller gets 20 touches, you're going to win the game?
Okay, but they did this right after they fired Joe Philbin, but then it fell apart and they had 12 carries.
You mean Bill Lazor went back to being Bill Lazor?
Right. So,
Okay.
is this what we're going to expect the rest of the way? 20 carries to Lamar Miller a game?
I don't know if you're going to get 20 carries. The carries are not important to me. The touches are important. Check downs to Lamar Miller work just as good as run plays. Ryan Tannehill is finally getting to the point where he realizes, hey, Lamar's a pretty decent pass catcher and can give you yards after the catch, screen passes. So to me, the carries are not important. We can stick to 15 carries and 5 passes, and it will work the same way.
All right, we're going to take a lot of your questions today. We're also I'm very excited, going to break down Omar's possibilities for the next Dolphins coach. All right, at Fensky17, Dallas Thomas is turning things around? Question mark. Does this make the O-line above average once Juwan James gets back from his toe injury?
Why'd you have to throw in the question mark? Why couldn't it be just Dallas? He is, and I've said that on this show.
Burgundy?
I have said that on this show.
Okay.
I have criticized Dallas Thomas. Me and Zach Krantz of 560 WQAM, we are the main critics of Dallas Thomas. And that's a long-standing thing going back to his rookie season, going back to last year when he struggled as a right tackle. Earlier this season, I said 5 plays a game, he's going to be a problem.
Right.
We're down to 2 to 3 plays a game.
Okay, well, that's better.
That
That's
is a
improvement.
respectable number for an offensive lineman. I'm not saying that he is the answer as a left guard for the remaining future, but Dallas Thomas is not a problem. Jason Fox, now he's a problem. And you got to get Juwan James back. We don't know. I think that this is the week that he's going to begin practicing. I'm not sure if he's going to be cleared to play, but this is the week he gets it back. He starts to see what he can do on that toe injury push off. And I do believe that they have, when Juwan James does come back, they will have a respectable offensive line. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to stop the sacks.
Right.
Because, to be real with you, the
It's on your
quarterback
boy.
has a lot to
It's
do
on
with the
your boy.
sacks.
Yeah.
Not my boy.
I'm not telling them. It's their boy.
Yeah.
Their
The
boy.
quarterback pocket presence, being able to feel pressure, he cannot. Being able to anticipate, he cannot. Step up in the pocket, move laterally side to side, he rarely does it. He can do it. He rarely does it. That's the next step for Ryan Tannehill. Until he establishes or develops pocket presence, you're going to give up a lot of sacks.
I think getting back to this question, a lot of what it has to do with is these are guys, a lot of these players, especially the young players, are playing for their future, playing for their Dolphins' future, playing to try to prove.
Everybody's playing for their future.
Yeah, but you know
so
what?
is coaching staff.
The vets who at this point are not playing well, they've proven that they can't. That it's kind of time to move on. But for these young guys, specifically some of these young guys in these offensive line, are there pieces here, while the offensive line hasn't been great, are there pieces here that could be at one point a great offensive line? And Dallas Thomas, Billy Turner, still young guys.
Still young guys, developing. I mean, I think you got to give, at the beginning of the season, they told me, you got to give them a chance to develop. You got to give them a chance to develop. Have some patience. Okay, well, you took a beating waiting for the tide to turn in your favor. And it looks like it has. Dallas Thomas, he's blocking on the second level. He's one of the better run blockers on the team. You're not getting penalties from him for once. You're not getting holding calls. You're not getting, the Olay sacks that he's given up. He's not allowing runs to be stopped in the backfield. And bravo to him, because what I take pride in is watching and seeing players improve. There are a lot of players who aren't improving. Jamar Taylor's not improving. Walt Aikens is not improving. But there are players, Rashard Matthews, who do improve. Rashad Jones has drastically improved throughout his career. Rashad Jones, at the beginning of his career, he was a liability. He took too many risks, too many chances. And now he's still taking the same amount of chances, but he's making less mistakes. And we're seeing that now from Dallas Thomas. He's still going to have bad moments, but they're not going to be 5 a game.
Right.
And that's going to definitely help your offense.
All right, let's take the next question. Kevin Belcher, are Dallas Thomas and Billy Tudor the future guards? How about Jamil Douglas? 3rd round, 4th round picks can't be that bad.
Depth is a problem with the offensive line. And if you're going to, Jamil Douglas becomes bad when he's got to play at center, or becomes bad when he's got to fill in at guard.
Those aren't his positions.
Well, he's guard,
it's
but
center, right?
Brandon Albert, he goes down. Oh, the line is trash.
Right.
To me, you got to fortify that offensive line, and that possibly means investing another early draft pick in it, or investing big money in free agency. Right now, Brandon Albert, Mike Pouncey, and Juwan James, those are good 3 pieces, but you not only need the guards to be good, you're also going to need good backups. A good backup tackle and a good backup interior player, a center or a guard.
These guys go down. At Dan B. FinFan, what are your thoughts on Brandon Albert's play this year? Do you believe he's back to pre-injury form?
No, he's not. He's a Pro Bowler pre-injury form. He's pretty decent right now. He's helping you from a run game supports. He's pretty reliable as a pass blocker, but you got to understand he's probably 13 months from that ACL rehab that he had, and now he's taking Wednesdays off, which is probably the best thing for him because of his advanced age. And he's going to make it through the season. The question is, will he make it through 2016 completely healthy? And he's got a high price tag. He's going to be one of the highest paid players on the team at, I believe, $8.5 million. The Dolphins are going to have to determine whether or not he's worth that kind of investment at his advanced age with all these injuries.
And whether or not they bring him back or not, they're going to have to bring
They got to address
someone
it,
else
yeah.
to come.
And that's one of the things that I don't like with Dolphin fans. They're like, oh, Brent Grimes is making too much money. Oh, Brandon Albert's making too much money. Okay, what do you got to pay to replace them?
Right.
And while they might be making $8 to $9 million a year, you do realize that you're probably going to have to sign an inferior player for $8 to $9 million a year just because of the market has value on both positions has raised.
That's what those positions make. All right, let's move on. What will be the biggest challenge is it's Monday Night Football. Giants come into town on Monday. Maybe a team that is sort of as unpredictable as the Dolphins.
Hey, they're in the playoff hunt. So hey, don't they're not a very good team, and I have a hard time understanding why a team with Eli Manning and Odell Beckham and Rashad Jennings and obviously Jason Pierre-Paul, he's got some issues, but I have a hard time understanding why they're not good. Top Coughlin.
Well, wait a minute. I think there are people outside Miami that are saying the same thing. And Ndamukong Suh and Jarvis Landry and
I
Lamar
can tell you why
Miller.
Dolphins aren't good. They don't have enough depth. They don't have a top-tier quarterback. And their offensive line is fairly inconsistent.
Well, I mean,
and they're also losing line of scrimmage.
Well, you got a Giants team that struggles on defense. You got a Giants team that really struggles at the end of games. I think that you look at this, yes, this Giants team has stars, but Eli's always sort of been all over the place.
Yeah.
And he's in a downtime right now. And they've got one guy to throw to. One guy.
Oh, come on, Ruben Randall. No, listen. Comparable teams. The spotlight's on Miami right now. This is and understand Monday Night Football is what every player wants to play in. That's what he waits for. This is your opportunity to show the nation that you're a much better team than you are for the Giants or for Miami, because the nation will be watching. It'll be interesting to see how Dan Campbell gets his team ready to perform. He's giving them an extra day off, and let's see how much that rest assists them. But to me, it's going to have to come down to preparation, because there's no doubt in my mind that Tom Coughlin isn't going to outcoach Dan Campbell. You got to make sure your team is prepared, and preparation has been an issue for this team throughout Dan Campbell's tenure as a head coach.
All right. I wonder also, by the way, if we're on the older end of Monday Night Football is the biggest night of
I'm talking about for the players.
I know.
What they like is that the nation is watching.
I think Sunday night, I think those games are tending to be better. They're on broadcast TV. I think that broadcast is better. I think that is we might be.
But there are other
history
games
says Monday Night Football is
wait
it.
a minute. There are other games that everybody's watched that entire day. By the time Sunday Night Football comes, you might be gamed out. Monday Night Football,
Fair enough.
You've had a little bit of a break.
Okay.
You've had a little bit of a rest, and if the matchup is pretty decent, you're going to watch it.
All right. But by that same definition, Thursday night should be huge because
Thursday
it's been
night's
3
huge.
days.
It's been 3
But
days.
those games have been pretty rough. All right, let's get to a question. At Shano13, how come Jarvis Landry doesn't get compared to Odell Beckham more?
Because he's not in a major media market like New York. He doesn't make amazing one-handed catches. He doesn't have dynamic celebrations like, that sprinter celebration, that hurdler celebration. That's classic right there. You got to understand, they are close like brothers. Like you in the offseason, you will not see them apart. Talent-wise, they're very similar. Just one has speed, one doesn't.
Right.
Unfortunately, Dolphins, you got the one that doesn't.
Beckham's a little bigger too, right?
I don't think so. I think they're pretty comparable size.
Okay.
They're both like 6 foot, 6 foot, 190 pounds. Neither of them are Brandon Marshalls of the league.
Of course not.
But very similar talents, very similar numbers if you look at what they're producing. It's just one's in a major media market with a better QB, and the others.
And the more memorable, that one touchdown that Beckham has, and the numbers. The numbers have
Beckham's
gone.
already over 1,000
Beckham's
yards.
size. But you wonder if you switch quarterbacks.
What a shot!
What happened?
Low blow, kneecapper to Ryan Tannehill.
The Finns started 3 rookies on Sunday: Devontae Parker, Jordan Phillips, and Bobby McCain. How did the youngsters perform?
Oh, well, certainly you got to like what you saw from Devontae Parker. He high-pointed that ball. It was an amazing throw by Ryan Tannehill, a big boy throw.
Big boy throw.
A big boy throw. And I call them, people got to understand, it's not an insult. I call them big boy throws. These are the throws that the Peyton Mannings, the Ben Roethlisbergers, the Phillip Rivers, even the Eli Mannings, they make, where they give your receiver an opportunity to go make a play. How often can you say that about Ryan Tannehill? Where he puts his receivers in position to go make a play. Devontae Parker high-pointed that ball, and that is what he can do. Mm-hmm. And he still needs a little bit of work, still runs his routes a little bit soft, still a little bit of slow running out of his breaks. But the one thing that he could do is high-point a ball. He can run a slant, and he can high-point a ball. And that was beautiful. Now, Jordan Phillips, I think, had just as much of an impact.
Yeah.
His tip at the line of scrimmage led to the tip to basically the first points the Dolphins scored off Rashad Jones's touchdown. And he was in the passing lane. Now, he does need work as a run blocker. There were plenty of plays where you see a 330-pound man on the ground, and that's not a good thing, especially when you're a nose tackle, which is what Jordan Phillips is. He lines up a yard off this line of scrimmage, which is a little bit concerning, and I got to figure out what that's all about. But he does have a knack for getting in passing lanes and being able to deflect and block shots. Now, the other guy, Bobby McCain.
Yeah.
He was picked on, as anybody is when they play opposite Brent Grimes. They are going to get picked on. And Bobby McCain did okay. He didn't do anything impressive. He allowed a lot of catches. But what he did is he kept fighting, and he responded at the end of the game and made a play that helped the Dolphins win the game. All have made a step in the right direction. Same thing with Jarvis Landry. So now we're at the point where we can see that this rookie draft class might be salvageable. At the beginning of the year, I thought they were a disaster.
Yeah, they seem to be coming along at least a little bit. So we go to our next question. Hernan Cortez, is a youth movement needed in Miami? Should we be seeing a ton of Parker, Phillips, McCain, Jay Ajayi, Jameel Douglas, Billy Turner, Terrence Fadage? These the guys that should be playing?
Absolutely. I said that at the month ago when we were doing the show. You need to move towards a youth movement, just because if a player, insert the name, is not critical to the team's success, like a Jordan Cameron, and you know that he's not going to be on the team next year, you shouldn't be playing him, because it's a wasted opportunity. That explains why they cut Zach Bowman. Zach Bowman was a decent player, and he was a pretty good gunner. But the truth is, he wasn't going to be on the team next year. So he didn't need to be on this roster.
Right.
They needed a roster spot. Whoop, you got to go. But in fairness to whoever's going to be coaching this Dolphins team next year, they've got to be able to have film to evaluate these players, to see what it is that they have on their roster and what it is that they need. If you do not play these young players, you will never know.
Right. So you 20 touches for Lamar Miller. How many touches do you want to see Jay Ajayi getting?
Probably about 5. Here's the difference with Lamar Miller. I don't know if he's going to be on the team next year because he's a free agent. It's probably going to cost you about $4 million a year, maybe $12 million contract to re-sign him. That's the baseline. And I don't know if the Dolphins are going to be willing to pay that. But then again, I don't know if Jay Ajayi can be that workhorse back. But Lamar Miller is a very good back in the NFL, probably a top 10 back. You don't not use that. You don't not utilize that. I mean, look at his yards per carry average, for Christ's sakes. You better find a way to use it.
Right. Let's move on, but I want to get to this question before we talk about your the coaching candidates. Ken Loftus asks, I never see Ndamukong Suh celebrating good plays with teammates. How does this affect team chemistry?
I can tell you, just asking around, team chemistry, particularly with Ndamukong Suh, is not that great. He is a mercenary.
Yeah.
We knew that when he signed. He is about Ndamukong Suh. We knew that when he signed. And the reality is, it's having some collateral damage and effect on the team.
In what way?
Chemistry.
Yeah.
they're not feeling him. And he's asked to step up and be a better leader. I don't think he knows how to be a better leader. And there's been a report about how he basically had a tirade and challenged his teammates. And while the things that he said while challenging his teammates were kind of accurate, the delivery was piss poor.
Right.
And that pissed off a lot of his teammates. And he's not making friends. And that's never a good thing. And when you say to your organization, not just your teammates, but to your coaches, to front office, that I decide who stays and goes, while it might be true, because he does have a good relationship with Steve Ross, while it might be true, it does not create any friendships for you.
No, I mean, you want to fight for and with the guy next to you because you won't know the guy next to you is going to have your back.
Absolutely.
And I think
No question
that
about
there's a doubt
I mean,
in that.
in terms of work ethic, I've heard that it is not where it was in Detroit. In terms of play on the field, from people who watch the film, evaluators, I have heard that it is not where it was in Detroit. So if Ndamukong Suh is going to call out his teammates, he better take a look in the mirror as well and make sure that his performance, his play, his work ethic, his example, his leadership cannot be questioned. And that's not the case right now.
That's good stuff right there. That's a hot take. Burn it. Light it on fire. Okay. This week, you unveiled a list of 12 desirable coaches for the Dolphins.
I call them 12 desirable. 12.
Right. Here we go.
Sexy names. And I broke them up in categories.
Okay. So a couple of them you'd have to trade to get.
Yes.
So the two that you have at the top of your list to trade to get, Marvin Lewis, the Bengals head coach.
Love him.
And Sean Payton, the Saints head coach.
Here's
why is this smart?
Okay. Here's why, and I'll start with Marvin Lewis, because to me, I have been a fan of Marvin Lewis from the beginning of covering the NFL. His defenses, they're exotic. You can't figure out whether he's in a 3-4, if he's in a 4-3. His offense is always efficient, runs the ball, physical. Sometimes they lose to bad matchups. The Dolphins used to be a bad matchup during Tony Sparano. Their teams were more physical than Marvin Lewis's teams, so they didn't win. Has not won a playoff game, but 5 straight playoff appearances for the Cincinnati Bengals with a rookie quarterback when Andy Dalton was a rookie quarterback. Marvin Lewis and the Bengals, look at his coaching staff, look at his coaching tree. His coaches always go on and do great things, and then they win with less than anybody else. They're not paying free agents. They're losing their free agents. They just make the best of what they have with the draft and maximize what they have. And I think that if you put him with an owner like Steve Ross, who will give him the resources, who will not cut corners like the Bengals do, I think he could take off and you can have a tremendous amount of success. Sean Payton is another coach. Don't know if New Orleans is going to fire him. Probably needs to. He's run his course there in New Orleans. What makes me uncomfortable about Sean Payton, and we've talked about this in this show, is that he's got full control of the New Orleans Saints and has had full control of the New Orleans Saints. Decides who they draft, decides who they sign, decides who they trade for, decides who they trade. Jimmy Graham, was that a smart trade? I say no.
No.
They are a disaster from a cap standpoint. Salary cap, the books, horrendous. Sean Payton did it. Defense, Sean Payton did it.
Yeah.
He decided who the coordinator was. He decided who stays as coordinator. But the one thing about Sean Payton that you got to like if you're a Dolphins fan is he's on the Bill Parcells tree, so is Mike Tomlin. They've got a good relationship. That relationship can work. Mike Tannenbaum. Mike Tannenbaum can do the things that Sean Payton is not good at, vice versa. And Sean Payton has developed quarterbacks. He's got a long-standing history of developing quarterbacks. We just so happen to have a quarterback that needs some developing.
Right. But like you said, two things that are hugely getting in the way of that. If the Bengals win a playoff game, they're not getting rid of Marvin Lewis.
Yes.
And Sean Payton.
I would trade for him. I would give
but
up.
the Bengals don't. I don't think the Bengals are going to trade him.
If
they win a playoff game,
it don't
they're
matter.
not
If I offer that organization, the Browns, a first-round pick from Bengals, yes, they're owned by the Brown family.
Right.
If I offer them a first-round pick for Marvin Lewis, you think they're going to say no?
You would do that?
I would.
Okay.
I would. And the reason that I would is because I'm tired of having guessing games about this coaching staff and how good they can be and what they can do. I know Marvin Lewis can coach. And what have we needed down here? Do you need a coach or do you need a first-round pick? because the last first-round picks I can count haven't been that good.
No, they haven't. Okay, let's take your look at your 3 college coaches. Gary Patterson from TCU, David Shaw from Stanford, Jim Mora Jr. from UCLA. Who's your favorite?
Gary Patterson, no question about it. I'm obsessed with Gary Patterson. People inside the NFL circles, people inside college circles tell you he is the best coach in football, in general. One of them, top 5. Look at what he's done at TCU. At first, I knew about Gary Patterson when the University of Miami had interest in him when they were hiring Randy Shannon. The University of Miami lowballed him in terms of how much they were offering. He said, thanks, no thanks. I'm good where I'm at. And he has built one of college football's best powers at one of college football's smallest schools and has consistently won, consistently developed talent. Defensive coach runs an innovative offense. Coaches line up to go want to be part of what he's doing. That's when you know you've got to learn from him. That's when you know you've got somebody special. And that individual, if he's ready and willing to leave TCU, he needs to be called up to the NFL. And some bold owner needs to make that decision and make that call up.
All right, let's look at your rebound candidates. Bengals offensive coordinator Hugh Jackson.
Yes.
Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniel. Steelers offensive coordinator Todd Haley. Colts offensive coordinator Rob Chudzinski. These are 4 guys that have been head coaches before.
Not just them, but also Jim Mora Jr.
And Jim Mora Jr.
Jim Mora Jr. is also in the rebound category. He's in the college coaching category because he's coached at UCLA, and he's had pretty good success at UCLA, showing that he can actually coach. And then he had some success in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, he had 1 season with the Seattle Seahawks, was not a very good tenure, but here's why I like the rebound category. This is my favorite category of all categories. 1, you don't have to give up a draft pick like the trade guys. 2, you don't have to go into the mystery of whether or not they can coach grown men, which is a requirement for the NFL. Nick Saban could not coach grown men. If you have a massive ego, you're going to struggle with dealing with an Ndamukong Suh who tells you, go sit your behind down over there and do what I tell you to do.
Right.
Because there are some players who have more power than the coaches. Ndamukong Suh just so happens to be one. But the rebound guys, they've failed, they've learned from their failures, they've grown from their failures, and they hopefully will have figured out how to do it right the second time around. Now, the one concern I do have about the rebound candidates is guys like Josh McDaniel, guys like Todd Haley, even Rob Chudzinski at some levels, they have done it with elite quarterbacks on their as coordinators. I'm uncomfortable with any coach, Cam Cameron, who is propped up by an elite quarterback and elite talent around him. It makes me scary because when you don't have elite talent, you might struggle.
And I've been saying it for a while. Just because you're a good coordinator doesn't mean that you're going to be a great head coach. And then real quick, because we're running out of time, your 3 NFL assistants, Mike Shula from the Panthers, Casey Rogers from the Jets, Ray Horton from the Titans. These are 3 more guys.
Those
you
are
like them?
I like them because they fit the Todd Bowles mold in terms of guys who have waited, done their time, put in their work, just need that opportunity. And when they get that opportunity, the Mike Zimmers of the world, when they get that opportunity, they maximize it and make the most of it. Mike Shula, former Dolphins assistant, he went on to Alabama, didn't have a great run in Alabama, has learned from it. And he's had 9 successful seasons in the NFL, primarily helping Cam Newton develop into the quarterback that he is, the MVP candidate. Now, Casey Rogers, we know here from the Dolphins, dynamic defensive line coach, is proving now with the Jets he is a good defensive coordinator. He's done his time in the NFL, deserves an opportunity, and I know he's a leader of men because everybody loves Casey Rogers, including myself. And then Ray Horton is another guy that fits the bill in terms of a guy who's put in that time, put in that work. He's played. The one thing I've realized from Dan Campbell is players want to play for players who have played. They will run through a wall for a guy. The one thing I've learned from Dan Campbell is if you don't want to go have a drink with a guy after work, then you're probably not going to want to play for him when times get tough.
All right. 1 sentence, what happens Monday night?
I believe that the Dolphins will win. I believe that this is their chance to finally gain some momentum, and their rally right now in the final month of the season is do it for Dan Campbell. And I think they need to win 3 or 4 games to get him this head coaching job. If you don't win this game against the Giants, it's not happening.
All right, I'm taking the Giants. I think the Giants are going to want it even more than the Dolphins want it because they are fighting for a division crown. All right, if you're watching us live, hang on. We're going to take a lot more of your questions in the chat room and also on Twitter using the hashtag XOMar. Thanks again for watching us this week.
questions in the comment section and in the coaching segment. So
right.
why don't we start with
Yeah,
those?
I'll fire those
Keith.
up while you dial up.
All right.
Okay.
A few challenges came in too.
Oh, good.
At the end, so it's like 3.
Oh, what?
Oh, good.
3 challenges came in. So you can
All right.
answer those.
Okay.
All right, while you're loading that up,
All right.
Montana Stewart, what are your thoughts on Eric Mangini?
Eric Mangini is a mediocre coach. His San Francisco 49ers are the 28th or 29th best defense in the NFL. I know they've had injuries and suspensions and whatnot, but his team suck.
Yeah.
And I know people are making the connection of Mike Tannenbaum. Trust me, if Eric Mangini is the best hire that Steve Ross can make, and that's who Mike Tannenbaum, a guy he's fired, is who he's going to bring back here to coach the Dolphins. Oh, we're headed for we're the Titanic headed to an iceberg.
FinFan 2003, do you think Steve Ross's advisors are telling him the truth on Ryan Tannehill?
Maybe now.
No, I don't.
Maybe now.
Maybe now.
There's no way that Dan Marino, Steve Ross, could sit down with Dan Marino and say to Steve Ross, who is writing him a paycheck every 2 weeks, hey, this kid's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
There's no way that Dan Marino could look at him and say, hey, this kid's a good quarterback. Now, does he have the potential to be a good quarterback? Absolutely. But we're 60 starts in, people. 60 starts. And you can blame it on the coaching. You can blame it on the offensive line. You can blame it on lack of running game. You can blame it on his weapons. But we've blamed all those things before.
And we're still here.
And we're
in
still
the same
here.
spot. You know, and not that it's a super easy decision for Stephen Ross to make either.
I mean, he's already put the money in.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. He had to know when he put the money in that the quarterback wasn't necessarily where you need to be and wasn't that dope, because if you look at the numbers, he didn't walk down the altar and say, I do, and marry Ryan Tannehill. He gave him a ring, proposed to marry, and set a date for 2017. Ryan Tannehill's only guaranteed $9.4 million next year.
It's not bad.
That's not bad. Mm-hmm. I could move him. I could trade him. I could
You
just
could draft another quarterback, see what happens.
I could dump him.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
The point is, you need to get something better. When the Seahawks had a ton of money committed into other quarterbacks when Russell Wilson arrived, Russell Wilson, a 4th-round pick, got there, 4th or 3rd-round pick, can't remember, got there, played well, earned that spot. Seahawks didn't care what they were
Matt
paying
Flynn,
anybody
see you
else.
later. Tavares Jackson, see you later.
Right. They even gave another quarterback a high contract.
Whitehurst, yeah.
Yeah, Whitehurst. They didn't care. and that's where Dolphin fans need to get to. You got to realize, quarterback play is holding your team back. Mm-hmm. It's not the problem, but it's not the solution either.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning of the season there were issues, and it seemed like Ryan Tannehill's play was down on the list and what the worst issues were.
Yeah. It is still down. It's still down there. You're losing at the line of scrimmage every week, just about every week. Mm-hmm. Offense and defense. That's priority number one. You can't stop the run. Linebacker play. Problem number 2. Lack of commitment to running game. Problem number 3. Some of those things are getting fixed, but problem number 4 or 5, cornerback opposite Brent Grimes, problem number 4. Problem number 5 is...
Yeah, then we got to start talking about the quarterback. Right now, I think, though, Dolphins fans say, okay, well, what about the Bengals?
Mm-hmm.
What
about the Bengals?
Is Ryan Tannehill better than Andy Dalton?
He's never been better than Andy Dalton. Ever.
How much better
in his
is
life?
How much better is
Ever
Andy Dalton?
in his life has he ever been better than Andy Dalton? Andy Dalton won in college. Andy Dalton's made the playoffs every single year of his NFL career. Mm-hmm. Andy Dalton has made bold throws that wins fourth-quarter games. Has he won a playoff game? No. Ryan Tannehill's never been to the playoffs.
Okay.
Andy Dalton's making his 5th trip to the playoffs, his 5th winning season. Ryan Tannehill has no winning season and no playoff bids. At some point, you got to realize, Andy Dalton's got a better coach. Andy Dalton has a better running game. Andy Dalton has a better elite receiver. But the difference is like this.
Right. The win differential is pretty big.
Yeah.
Let me get some of those.
Are we finished with these?
Okay. Which Murfino 69? What head coach candidate will put Ryan Tannehill in a position to maximize his skill set? Let's do another Tannehill question.
Of course. Mike Shanahan, probably. You need to run a West Coast offense, even though that's what you started
Right.
with the Dolphins. A West Coast move offense, a motion offense, is what Ryan Tannehill needs to be Jake Plummer. That's how you got to utilize him. That is the height of who he is as a quarterback. When you start utilizing him like Jake Plummer, which was coached by Mike Shanahan, you might have better results. Now, will the ceiling be that great? No, not really. At the height, if everything is perfect, I think Ryan Tannehill could lead his team to 10 wins.
Before we finally give the people what they want and actually have their questions, I have one more for you.
Okay.
You broke down these coach candidates in terms of, okay, it was former head
Trade for.
rebounds, trade fours, college, NFL assistant. Do you have any inkling as to what
The Dolphins will do?
what they're more inclined to do? What Steve Ross wants?
The young, hungry
Young,
Dan
hungry.
Quinn type. That's the first time.
Dan Quinn hasn't really worked out.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you need time to rebuild something, and I would certainly prefer the rebound. I would certainly prefer a Hugh Jackson type. I would certainly prefer a college coach. I want the best coach from the
Right.
Miami Dolphins. Whoever is out there, and I have asked 100 people, who is the best coach out there coaching right now? That's not the Bill Belichick. That's not the Bruce Arians. That's not the Marvin Lewises. That's not the Mike Tomlin. Tell me the best coach out there. 70% of those people say Gary Patterson. Didn't say David Shaw. Didn't say Jim Moore. Gary Patterson. And because I followed him for 9 years, because when he first was introduced to me, when the University of Miami had interest, I was like, who the hell's Gary Patterson?
Right.
Then he won with Andy Dalton. And I
Yeah.
said, my thing, if you win with an elite quarterback,
Right.
I'm a little concerned. Then he won without him.
Yeah. They kept winning.
They just kept winning.
So let's move on. All right. With the Giants have the 32nd ranked pass defense. This is from Alex G1345. Do you see the Finns reverting back to the old ways of slinging the ball around?
They don't believe in Ryan Tannehill. That's why they're not slinging the ball around. There's nobody on the team that believes in Ryan Tannehill can sling the ball around or should be throwing the ball 40 times a game. Sorry. If it hurts your feelings, sorry, but that's the reality. It's come from Dan Campbell. It's come from the offensive line. It's come from the wide receivers. It's come from the running backs. It's come from the defense. Nobody wants Ryan Tannehill throwing the ball 40 times.
Apparently, a lot of these are fans. Richard Cass fan is one. In the Woods is another one. Comparing Tannehill to the possibility of John Elway.
Drew Brees.
John
John
Elway
Elway,
struggled
yeah.
his first 4
Yeah,
years.
of course.
Cam Newton struggled his first 4
yeah,
years.
absolutely.
Can Tannehill see the light in year 5?
Have you seen glimmer or hope? I mean, he can, absolutely. He developed a deep ball, and I never thought he'd get a deep ball. He can. The problem is you need somebody to play clutch. You need somebody who's going to show it when it's time to rise and lead his team to a scoring drive, 4-point deficit, and you got to go 80 yards in 2 minutes. Do you think Tom Brady's going to do that?
Do I think Tom Brady's going to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Eli Manning's going to do that?
Kind of depends, but yeah, he certainly has
Big
chance to do it.
Ben? Big
Yeah.
Ben?
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Okay, Russell Wilson?
Yeah, he kind of can.
Yeah. Okay, Matt Ryan?
Maybe not this year, but yeah.
Okay, Tannehill?
Oh, no.
All right, okay,
no.
yeah. And if that's your answer, if you're like, oh, no, it's not happening, then you got to do better. You got to do better as a team.
Do you have a favorite quarterback in this year's NFL draft? Oh, I know. You love the Memphis guy. You
course.
love the Memphis
Paxton
guy.
Lynch, love him. Paxton Lynch. There's the other one that's from UCLA. I can't remember his name. Not UCLA, but he's California. I forget if it's
Yeah,
Cal.
Cal. It's Cal.
Yeah, Cal. He's pretty good. Like I got to watch his film. I started getting put on the Paxton Lynch early in the season for week 1, and by Sean King, who called me and was just like, we talk about prospects all the time, and he was like, yo, look at this kid. And I was like, and tell me what you think. And I started looking. I was like, You see all these traits: quick release, athleticism, pocket presence. He could throw it with arc. He could throw a dagger, and mobility, throw accurately on the run. And you're like, check, 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 check. Holy crap, this dude's a stud. And then you go from not hearing about him to now he's the #1 draft pick.
Right.
And So that's exciting. I think anybody who gets this kid, or probably the kid from California, is going to have a lot of things to be excited about.
So should the Dolphins take either one of them with their first pick?
Absolutely, no question about it. I'm right now. I'm drafting the quarterback number one, and the reason I'm drafting the quarterback number one if I'm the Dolphins is because if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a chance in the NFL. And right now, you're still unsure if you have a quarterback after 60 starts.
It's been long. It's been a long time.
How much more time can you waste?
None. Zero. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you send us questions all week using the hashtag XOmar. And we are going to be on same time next week, even though with the Monday night game. But go out and enjoy a nice Monday night game. It's Sun Life
I know.
Day.
I'll be out on these streets on Saturday and Sunday because I don't have to cover football until Monday.
Thanks for watching.